Okay, so I figure if I'm going to record anything this morning, it's going to be one of those, like sort of a regular routine recording as I drive to work sort of things. So last night I was able to basically jot down in my planner all the stuff I basically foresee myself needing to do this week. Some of it's kind of obvious, the usual, get the homework done, that sort of thing, but planned out my week for stuff that I'll be doing after work, and I got most of the study that I wanted to get done, done. There's just those additional, lecture videos to watch, and, assuming I get that done, that's all be taken care of. I want to finish up the homework today, and then I can roll into studying for the stuff for next week. And obviously I don't have the planner in front of me right now, so I'm driving, but I mapped everything out. Assuming there's no drama at work, I think it should be okay. I'm rolling out at a time where, depending upon how fast I can go, I might be able to get there a few minutes early, but at the very least I'll hopefully roll in right around the time that I'm supposed to be there. Not the best day. I mean, I've had times where I've gotten there at 6:30 and or 6:45, and it's been a lot smoother of a day, but kind of paying for having taken some coffee around 4:30 yesterday. I felt I needed to because I had some stuff to get done, but and I was kind of dozing off. But at the same time, given the half-life of caffeine being 5 hours, basing off of some of the comments I've seen, obviously around 9:30, 10, it was only halfway gone, and it wasn't really fully metabolized until much later on. So it's kind of hard to get to bed, but I did basically put on some binaural beats, and I'd listen to watch some content, that sort of stuff. And what I mean Swamp Dwellers, one of his cryptid horror stories, sort of videos, and I was able to get myself into a state where I was sort of relaxing a bit, and eventually I fell asleep. But one thing I did watch before I went to bed was actually his videos on YouTube, and it was sort of a time lapse of this guy's work day. I guess he lives on a farm, and he gets to get up at 4:30 and do the whole farming routine. And this guy lets me get over, and okay, I'm over. Anyways, I guess the thing that I got from that, I was on YouTube, and it kind of came on my suggested videos, but it was sort of this perspective of okay, this is what this guy has to go through. Reminded me of a little bit of my grandpa growing up on a farm in Wisconsin, having to be up at 4:30 in the morning and doing all that sort of, that not sort of heavy labor, totally, heavy labor. And it's kind of maybe think that as much as I may complain about work, and I may have further complaints for the day or this week, depending upon how bad things get. If there's if the folks who I think would be making complaints about me did do that, and there's consequences for that, then I'm probably gonna have stuff to say. But at the same time, I don't have to do what some farm boy out in the Midwest or the Great Plains has to do for a living. I don't have to go and get up at 4:30. My grandpa would get up at 4:30 and go milk the cows and lug those heavy pails of milk. I don't have to be exerting myself to, move bales of hay or, things of that nature. I don't have to be doing that kind of stuff. And I mean, I've done enough yard work that I can have sort of something of a perspective on it. Like, okay, here's how hard it would be, and it's like, if I had to do that every day, that'd be pretty difficult. I don't know if, I'd be able to sort of develop the strength. I mean, maybe I would be able to, genetics-wise, if I got any of that from my grandpa. But, at the same time, like, it would be a lot more difficult. And it would probably wear me out even further than, the stuff has worn me out, as one can probably see. Especially if you look at, like, sort of my hair loss and that sort of thing. Like, it would probably wear me out even further than that. And so, it's about this whole keeping things in perspective and having something to compare to, because I could have it much worse. So, at the same time, that doesn't mean I'm going to stop working towards something better, or that I'm not going to have complaints or issues or so. But at the same time, I'm going to try to balance out those complaints with appreciation for what I do have, because as much as I have to do, like, physical kind of work, working in manufacturing, it's not like having to lug bales of hay or do, like, little construction work. It's not like that. I get paid a decent wage to do relatively light work, and as such, like, anyways, as such, I don't have as much to complain about as, let's say, some folks might. It's kind of sketchier. Okay, cool. We're over one more line. Okay. I hate that when you're like when you're one or two lanes over from, like, the furthest lane to the right, and you also have to sort of keep an eye out for people merging, especially around this area. Especially where you're trying to, like, switch lanes to get further over. So you gotta keep it one eye out at least for somebody you might be getting into your lane, so you don't crash into them. But anyways, yeah, that's sort of a bit what I'm trying to keep in mind. I mean, it's almost like that Midwestern mentality yet again. It's like, oh, it could be worse, can't complain, that sort of deal, like having to sort of remind yourself that you do have some good things in your life. Like, I may have some health issues creeping up on me at my age, but at the same time, like, I'm not debilitated, I got 2 functioning legs, 2 functioning arms. I'm not paralyzed. I can breathe, with relative ease. Perhaps if I was able to, or I did start working out again consistently, things would get even better. Like, I'm at that point where I could very easily, or relatively easily, get into tip-top, peak physical shape, especially given the regimen and diet and all that. Things could get worse, if I screwed around with my diet and I was eating like 2 or 3 meals a day of just junk food, things like that. I could really screw things up for myself. Or, for instance, like I'm driving and recording this video, but I'm making a point to pay attention to the road. Like, if I didn't do that, yeah, I could really mess with my life. I could end my life. But again, I'm in that sort of spot where there's at least hope. There's at least hope right now. Things may change for the worse when I get to work. They may change sometime this week, maybe next week, maybe next month. I don't know. But right now I'm at that spot where I at least have hope that if I keep on working at things, the stuff will get better. And that's something that not a lot of people have, and it's something to appreciate. that at the very least I have the possibility of a better future if I keep working on things. And something I gotta keep in mind, if at the very least for my mental health. So if I just focus on negatives all the time, I'm just gonna get depressed, and that's not gonna be good for anyone. So yeah. One other thing, I wanted to actually, like, sometime today, I wanted to text my dad and just, like, let him know that I just wanted him to, like, concern himself with or worry about, like, his own health, his own, circumstances. I don't want him worrying about me. I don't want him worrying about others as much. I know it's like, him being a father and a husband and all of that, it's not practicable for him to not be concerned, period. But I see sort of, and it makes sense that I do see reflections of him and myself and vice versa, where he's had a tendency of, like, sort of like taking on all these concerns and worries of other people, especially the family, and it's stuff that those people, and that includes myself, really need to be taking care of ourselves. We can't be offloading that to someone else, least of all him. There's stuff that's it's like my responsibility to take care of, not his. He shouldn't have to be worrying about X, Y, Z. And same thing with other members of my family, and that's sort of the thing that's maybe as angry as I've been at those other people, because, like, I don't look at it as, okay, I'm perfect, or I'm up on some level 5,000 feet above them, looking down on them necessarily. But the reason, like, stuff happened the way it happened the last couple of weeks is, by and large, certain people weren't pulling their weight. And it's something that runs in the back of my mind because, he's my dad, as much as I may want to be focusing on these other aspects of life, I'll have to throw the Nofap thing up in the title of this video because, I kind of just rolled into talking about all this stuff as opposed to, doing the usual announcing what day it is still. But, it's a concern of mine, and, it's something that I've seen as a flaw of mine as well. So it's not me just, like I said, looking down on anybody, least of all him. It's a habit I've had. I used to do this in the past. I remember with, like, the one I Juice girl, back when I was of that sort of spiritual mindset, if you will, it was like I was almost like taking on to my shoulders the sins of another and being worried about the spiritual outcome and, how it was going to affect her life and all this sort of stuff. And it was like, dude, like, that's for her to deal with, if her living the life the way she's lived it, is going to lead her to some sort of, like, spiritual reckoning, let's say talking about this concept like of a day of judgment or so, and that's going to, fall upon her because she, I don't know, cheated people out of their due, or she, took advantage of her family, screwed them over, committed, mortal sins or whatever however you want to, describe it. Well, that's her problem, if it leads her to, like, ending up alone, in her old age when, she can no longer take care of herself and she doesn't have a competent, capable man in her life to do that for her, well, that's her problem, not your problem, bro. Not your problem, dude. That's her, concern. And it's sort of the same thing I see with my dad, that, I've seen him wear himself out over that, and, and in some cases, like, it's been stuff that I did, dumb decisions I made, opportunities I squandered, and it was opportunities that he never had, and I just, threw them away. But, I feel like right now in my life, every time I make a payment on these student loans or on anything else that I any debts that I have to pay, I am paying for my sins, my screw ups, my dumb decisions. So I'm paying for that, and it's sort of like, okay, I'm taking that on my shoulders. I'm facing up to that, and given that I'm doing that, I would like other people to be, taking ownership of their stuff as well, not expecting, him in his 60s to be shouldering that, like he should be looking forward to retirement at this point, even if it's not a glorious retirement where he gets to, travel the globe and all this sort of stuff, at least not for the first few years or so, until I get my finances really straightened out and strengthened. But he should at least be able to sort of relax a bit, like he's done his best in many ways, and I know, we could or I could go and pick apart different decisions he's made and things of that nature, but it's not entirely on him. It's not entirely his responsibility or his fault, even though he gets to hear that all the time. A lot of it's the stuff that other people did, the decisions we each made, But yeah, it's something that I want to kind of get across to him. Because there's stuff that, he'll ask me about, or he'll say, you need to go do this or do that. He's being a father, trying to be a good father doing that. At the same time, it's sort of like, that's stuff that I need to be dealing with, And if it means me having to deal with some stress or some anxiety to get certain things straightened out or whatever, well, that's what I gotta do, And, other than appreciating the good things in one's life, I think the takeaway from that would be trying to take ownership of your life and where you're going, what you're doing. If I wanted to relate that to Nofap, I'm sure that's what most people are tuning in for, if they are tuning in for anything to my channel. I mean, PMO is an issue, is a problem, and it's definitely something that really can trip you up. But I don't know, trying to blame some sort of external force, if you will, as opposed to taking ownership and going no, I chose to do X, Y, Z, is it's not really the best way to go about actually, sorting your life out. And if I were to relapse, which it's always a possibility, if I were to, I would still believe that it was a bad thing, but it was more indicative of other issues going on, and I would have to not blame PMO in and of itself. It would be merely the means to the end being me not doing my due diligence in life, and trying to sort of escape from the consequences of me not doing my due diligence. Which isn't to say that there aren't bad people out there, or bad circumstances, or factors out of your control that, you really can't be blamed for. There are bad people out there who will, screw you over, or will find ways to, make your life more difficult than it already is because of jealousy or bitterness or, any of a myriad of rationalizations. But at the same time, doing what you can do to make your life better, I think the vast majority of time, that's really the key, This is why I look at things like politics or religion or so, and it's okay, that may be interesting, that may have some influence, but most of the time it's really the results of our own decisions as individuals that we're dealing with, or possibly the results of decisions of other individuals, but not necessarily on this macro scale of okay, this one guy got into a certain office, or one gal got defeated in her bid for re-election or whatever, and now now I'm screwed, or we're gonna have all the nice things, or whatever the case may be. It's more so like, what decisions have you made in your life, and what are the effects of those decisions? So, coming up on the exit, I seem to be making pretty decent time. I think I got a couple miles down the road to the exit that I need to make. Then it's a couple turns, and a few turns, three or four turns, and and I'll be in the parking lot. So, hopefully I get there early enough, just a few minutes early, and I get all stuff printed out. I don't know. We'll see how things go, because I'll do all that. We'll also have to see how the coworkers are feeling today, because it seems like I'm, like I said, dealing with really sensitive people who want things to be a certain particular way, and it goes beyond like good documentation practices or good manufacturing practices, almost like their personal pet peeves and stuff like that. Like they practically don't have a sense of humor and things of that nature, and I have to be behaving in a very subdued, controlled manner, as opposed to the old workplace, which was ironic as the old workplace, because when I started there, coming out of college, having dealt with all the relational aggression I dealt with, having dealt with people who were very much indoctrinated into that sort of like everything is offensive and you're part of the demographic that we hate, we blame all our problems for. Dealing with that kind of stuff where everything was like almost like you got this perception that everything's almost HR worthy, and you can't joke around with people because someone's going to file a complaint against you and you're going to get fired because you said the wrong thing to the wrong person or whatever. Like, going in with that mentality, obviously, like, being as red pill aware as possible, to use that expression, or just being aware of the consequences, the potential consequences of actions, but maybe overemphasizing or overestimating it to the extent that I was all like super like skittish about chilling out with people and like opening up, and then finding out that no, most of the folks there had an actual genuine sense of humor, and you could like joke around with them, especially on the shift that I was on, aside from politics obviously, but beyond that it was like, oh wow, these folks are pretty chill, you can bust through his chops and it's all cool. But over here at this new company, it doesn't seem like that, and that's all fine and well. I always have to deal with that as best I can, because you gotta make that living, gotta make that paycheck. And if 2 weeks at a time, looking at like that sort of timeline of, okay, get through this pay period, get that next paycheck, then that's just a strategy to go with. So anyways, it's still four turns, and I wish I could show you folks some of the sights around here, because we're right next to the water. Like it's kind of crazy, because you can like go out the back of the building and be standing out there and like there's sort of the back lot, and it's like you're practically on the ocean. There's like houses that are literally like on the bay, and it's kind of pretty, but I don't know if that would be kosher to do, because you're on like corporate property and all that. It's almost like you have to get permission to do that, and then that'd just be a really weird conversation to be having. So like, why do you want to record this again? Because I'm like vlogging on YouTube. it would just, and then it would lead to talking about like Nofap and, you know, like so many other things, and I just would not want to have that conversation. So fortunately I can't be doing that. Like I said, it's a pretty view. It'd be kind of nice, but yeah, I'm just gonna roll into the parking lot and park, and that'll be it. I'm coming in about a couple minutes beforehand, and I requested building access, you know, when I got up at like 5:45. So that should have processed by now, and I can just go in and, you know, get stuff started. So, yeah. Let me see. Anyways, I think I'm just gonna stop recording now because I need both my hands in order to properly park my car. So, I'll see you folks around. Thanks for watching, and it's Nofap day 134. So I'll see you.